Live from the apocalypse. It's my 10-year wedding anniversary episode. You see the picture behind me? I am Fred Sanford and George Costanza's hip-hop blogging baby, Dan O. My co-host, the Lamont to my Fred, is K. Diggy, Mr. Rollins. Welcome to the week. How goes it?
Good. How you doing, man?
Man, home alone. Family is up visiting family and all that. So watching nothing but movies my wife wouldn't watch with me. Yeah, so good. It's been quite good. But yep, feels good. Feels good. If the movie's bad, I get really mad because I feel like she won. That makes sense. But anyway, K Diggy texted me and said, this episode's got to be about the City Girls video, Pussy Talk, featuring Doja Cat. And I said, whoa, I know, it's an intense imagery. It's a very well-done video. You might have to change it up. So instead, we're focusing on a bunch of projects that came out that are led instrumentally, right? They have voices mixed in, but they are largely instrumental projects from people who make instrumental projects. And we're thinking about what does that mean this year? What are our tastes like when we're listening to this stuff? And so I wanted to talk to you about it. The first album I think I would ask if you listened to it, what you thought of was Malcolm Strachan, About Time. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that one.
Okay. I wanted to bring it into the conversation because it's jazz. He's a UK dude. He played on, he went on tour with Mark Ronson. He, recorded with Amy Winehouse and Corinne Bailey Rae. Trumpet, great album. It's just, it is pure jazz, man, and it's interesting. My favorite jazz albums have been people who are part of another structure. Last year, it was the Koshimiya album.
Okay.
And he was in the Dap Kings for years. But there's a bubbling UK scene of jazz that is really out there. And it's interesting. So, when you get a chance, you guys look at Malcolm Strachan, About Time on Bandcamp.
And what about the project stood out to you?
Especially when we're comparing it, because let's just get into the Khruangbin deal, right?
Okay.
Khruangbin is Khruangbin, right? They are a group largely focused around mid-tempo guitar sounds. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair.
And the songs, I was comparing the Strachan to the Mordecai, and I realized, I was like, man, I'm looking at Mordecai right now, and we're talking about, wow, it feels longer than it is. It's 10 songs.
Yeah.
But the songs are 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 42 seconds. The first song is 4 minutes and 47 seconds. And I don't feel like they move and change a lot.
I agree 100%.
It's a good album. I'm not trying to say anything bad about it, but I was basically wondering why it didn't work. What did you think when you listened to Mordecai and identified that it wasn't your favorite thing?
It got kind of repetitive to me. Like I feel like once you hear one or two songs, you get like the gist of the album. So I just kind of zoned out. It didn't really connect with me. That, and you know, I was going into the project with the expectations of it kind of being like Texas Sun. That's, you know, for me, that was the bar that I was holding them to. So I thought that it was going to match the same excitement of Texas Sun. So when I found out that it didn't, I just kind of just tuned out.
I have to say that the Mordecai has, I don't want to be mean, but it may be one of the least interesting first songs of the year. First Class is the first song, and listening to it, I was like, man, I'm still listening to this song. It's only 4 minutes and 47 seconds. And I was like, the Strachan moves much quicker, but really the Malcolm Strachan About Time is 9 songs. A lot of them, there's three 6-minute songs on here, a couple 5-minute songs. So it's the same kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, your songs really don't need to be that long per se. Like if the person because I feel like Khruangbin they're more of like a groove band. You know what I mean? They're trying to establish a groove. And
right,
with a lot of these songs, like if it's like 2 or 3 minutes, if I want to continue listening, I'll just press repeat and get right back into it.
Yeah. No, yeah.
There's no need to post like 4 minute, 5-minute songs, particularly if you're going to kind of be doing the same thing throughout the whole album.
Yeah, if it's basically the rule I think I applied to it was usually if the song is the same the first 30 seconds in, then it's going to be the rest of the way. You got to mark that as a warning sign, right? Like if 30 seconds in, like I know every angle of this song now, and this is just going to repeat.
Right.
You might run into trouble. So
right.
you want to keep people off their comfort zone, and I think a lot of the great albums this year have done that.
Yep.
When I post a Little Dominique's Nosebleed review, that's going to be a big part of that. By the Koreatown Oddity, but the Strachan didn't feel like that, and I figured out why. I'm like, it's a jazz band, so the songs keep the groove and the tempo, but they evolve and they move, right?
Yep.
And I was thinking that's, even though there was no lead singer, Miles Davis never let you get bored. That's why he was always striking out in such new directions all the time, with new players, new compositions, because he needed you to not know what was coming and not get bored.
I mean, the difference with Miles, I mean, he worked with geniuses. Like, he was a genius. He worked with other geniuses. So, the geniuses can figure out a way, even like if you listen to like a Kind of Blue, like even though the structure around them was pretty much the same for the whole song, the improvisation in that songs were wildly different from each artist, and that's what carried the song, and that's why they're so listenable.
And great jazz improvisation feels to me like being in on an instrumental conversation.
That's a good way to say it.
Think of like a great movie with great dialogue, right? Maybe The Big Lebowski or whatever. Yep. And you're in this world with these characters, and they're so different. Some are loud, some are quiet. These moments are so different. People are sad, people are happy. The instruments can talk to each other like that and feed off each other. And so it is moving and evolving and changing. And it's not, Khruangbin felt more like they were trying to do a mid-tempo guitar Daft Punk album.
That sounds kind of awful.
But I mean, it felt like the You and I song that's their lead single. It kind of has that like, oh, we're in a groove, and it's like your groove is so low key though. Like it's not.
Yeah.
You can't just get over on this groove.
Yeah.
And what reviewers have been picking up on and documenting is that there's singing on this Khruangbin album, Mordecai, and it's suspicious that it follows Texas Sun and them like wanting to incorporate more vocals. But the vocals to me, in my mind, didn't count. And I'll tell you what I mean.
Okay.
They sound like background vocals.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
I see where you're coming
It all
from.
sounds like background singing.
Right. Like it was just added on because they were like, oh, we need vocals. Let's just throw these on.
Or like you remember those great Ray Charles records with the background singers in the background? They felt like the background singers on their album.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really listening to what they were saying because I was like,
Right.
you know, you're kind of
Interesting way to put it. Yeah.
you're in the
That's an interesting way to
background
put
of
it.
your own music. I don't know what's going on, but whatever, you know.
Oh, it's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
And
I would agree.
And I think the magic of Texas Sun, which is their collaboration with Leon Bridges earlier this year, is it 4 or 5 songs?
Yeah, I think it's 4 songs. Yeah.
The magic of that album is that Khruangbin is foundationally solid. They are solid, right? They are 15 points, 15 rebounds every game. But they're not exciting.
Right.
So if I'm in a Khruangbin mood, I can look up Khruangbin and press play on any of their stuff. It's going to be good Khruangbin. But Texas Sun, to me, is by far the best thing they've done, in my limited knowledge, because Leon Bridges is a singer, man.
Yes. Yes.
He's a singer. He's a lead singer. He's meant for that stage.
Absolutely.
And so what he does on it is different. And some of the records I like, some of the records I don't like. But no one can deny the power of his ability.
Right. Right. His technical ability.
He's exciting.
Yes, exciting. I mean, the way he was singing, like the stuff before Texas Sun, like I had an idea of what Leon Bridges was, and it wasn't I guess I would say it wasn't a positive idea. Like I just saw him as kind of gimmicky, one note type of person, or
Right.
one dimensional. But Texas Sun really opened up my eyes, like, to what he could potentially be. And it made me appreciate the guy's an incredibly technically good singer, and he can sing with soul in a way that doesn't feel forced or disingenuous.
It was the building of a perfect team, and I really do hope they explore it further.
Mm-hmm.
Because he brought excitement to their music. But
yeah.
They brought stability
yes.
to his music.
It's almost like, it's like it reminds me of a guy. It reminds me, I said a guy. It reminds me kind of like Santana a little bit. You know what I mean? Like Santana back in the day, as in like late 90s. Like he knew that if he was going to make exciting charting music, he would need exciting lead singers in front of his compositions. And I think that's kind of what Khruangbin needs as well. They need to recognize that they need to get, they can have exciting music, but they need people out front who can fulfill the vision.
And I think they understood that coming off Texas Sun, and that's why Mordecai has that singing on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're kind of trying to cheat that.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. It's their version of what I'm calling Pi'Erre Borne math. So, I said this to you earlier, but I want to give my whole Pi'Erre Borne math take here.
Okay.
Playboi Carti, his song Magnolia from his 2017 self-titled project, went 3 times platinum. Another song, Woke Up Like This, featuring Lil Uzi Vert, they're great together, went 2 times platinum. Pi'Erre Borne produced those and several others on the project. Carti's follow-up, Die Lit, went gold. Borne produced 15 of the 19 tracks. Here's the math. So Borne is half the reason people love Playboi Carti. The idea is if his album can come out, Life of Pi'Erre 4 recently came out in deluxe version, and Borne is half as good a lyricist as Carti, then he's giving you 75% of the triple platinum experience you love. 50% being his production, 25% his ability to ride the melody and make fun sounds. If he starts out at 75% of Carti, what if he can become 85% over time? What if he can push higher and make more money and become a legitimate artist in his own right? What if his solo never sells like it does with other artists? At that point, 50% of the money is better than 75% of less money. So trying to give an understanding of the decisions that you have to make when you are the engine of this, right?
Okay. I mean,
the Pi'Erre Borne math is the opposite of the RZA math, right? RZA comes out and he makes everyone's beats.
right.
And he's in charge of everyone getting deals. He puts Method Man over here, Ghostface over here, all this different stuff, right?
Okay.
He produces all their albums. He's in charge of the whole deal. Same thing with Dr. Dre, all that stuff, having the power. Right now, producers are hungry and cheaper than they once were.
What do you mean by cheaper?
They're not as in charge of everything because we're talking streaming money.
Okay.
It's just not money. Where does everyone tell you artists make their real money now?
Touring.
How is Dr. Dre going to help me on my touring? So that's
okay.
The Pi'Erre Borne math is basically Carti's the number one now. Right?
Right.
Carti's the name, he's the voice. He's the guy on tour. He's the face. You can't replace him. But Pi'Erre Borne's production is the first thing I cared about. Bottom line. When I listened to the self-titled Playboi Carti album, I said, who the fuck is this producer?
Right.
So if you are Pi'Erre Borne and you have a completely 15 degrees off the norm, different take on the sound structures, your beats are interesting, where do you go from here? You can't sit there and wait for Carti. He also produced an album for Young Nudie. And reviewers really liked that. It was fun. And Life of Pi'Erre is fun. Life of Pi'Erre 4 is fun. But he's not Carti.
No, he's not. And the interesting thing about your equation, the Pi'Erre Borne math, so we're assuming, so you're saying that Pi'Erre Borne is half of what Carti, if he's half of what Carti is, plus his production, that equals 75% of the whole equation.
Right.
But I think, what I do believe in musical synergy. Sometimes I think certain artists, when they collaborate together, the sum of their product, the sum of their collaboration is worth more than on paper both of them together
Right.
would be. So I think Playboi, like we'll go back to Magnolia. Magnolia, that was one of my favorite songs of 2017. Great, phenomenal beat. I think that beat and the energy that Carti brought to it was synergistic. You know what I mean? Like it was more than the sum of all its parts. So I don't think that Pi'Erre rapping on his own track is 75% of him and Carti, because I feel like there's more. I feel like when those two are together, they have a synergy and a chemistry that makes it like is more than what it looks like on paper. You know what I mean?
But so let me ask you though, if Carti said, "Bye bye Pi'Erre, Pharrell's doing my next album," there's no way that flops.
Right.
No way it flops. Like Carti's
Right.
pretty confident that he's still going to knock the doors off with that.
Right.
Pi'Erre might not have that same luxury on his solo album. Whereas Die Lit went gold, Life of Pi'Erre 4 hit the charts, according to Wikipedia, at like 104.
Right.
So people know the rapper.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know Pi'Erre as well as they know Carti.
The only thing they know is hit that the tagline that he has in the song.
One of the best taglines in the business.
Absolutely, 100%. But that's just the path of producer. You know what I mean? Like if you choose to be a producer, you have to accept that is kind of your reality. And you know what I will say is, it's kind of your reality to be in the background, but he's probably getting paid more on the track than Carti is.
Oh yeah, yeah, because that's why I say 50%, because the math really is the producer gets 50% of the whatever royalties.
Yep.
And the writer gets 50%, and this is why they were mad at RZA, because he would have 50% with the beat, and then he would put a verse on it, so he would have 25% more. So, but
yeah,
that's
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but so this relates to Mordecai and Khruangbin in the sense that they saw what Leon Bridges brought to it, and they said, "Hey, we don't want to lose that excitement. That's an exciting project. We want to see how comfortably we can incorporate elements of that, so we don't go back to being 50% of what Texas Sun is." Right? We can add a percentage. We can say now we sing, and so it's going to sound a little more like Texas Sun.
But I've just never heard of a group or artist that have gone that path successfully. Okay, except maybe Pharrell. Well, we can say for sure Pharrell. Pharrell, do you feel like Pharrell kind of did that? Is that what you're?
Pharrell is a unique situation.
Okay.
It fits what you're saying, but it's actually a little wilder than that. Because Pharrell was too weird for the industry when he came in.
Okay.
I listen
Right.
to a lot of hip hop podcasts, and I've heard a ton of early Pharrell stories. And Kanye, the next president of the United States, Kanye West, has given Pharrell full credit because he was like, nobody was dressing like you back then.
Right.
Nobody. He was seen as an oddity, and his music was seen as an oddity. And so even the beats he got placed were not his weirdest beats. So when he does Nerd, it's really a chance for him to get out his weirdest stuff that the industry doesn't like or care about.
Right.
And I felt like that was kind of the energy on that first Timberlake record as well.
Justified?
Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently those, from what I read, those tracks were supposed to be from Michael Jackson. And
Yeah.
Michael Jackson said no.
Right. And so I felt like he was like, look, Pharrell's really excited about his work. He always has a plan. And Timberlake was really open at that time and just didn't want to do the NSYNC shit. Like he just wanted something else. So he's like, let's go. And they were experimenting. And that's the space Pharrell loves to be. Sometimes he's got stuff that's so weird that other people won't deal with it. And that's why the Nerd records are so special to me.
Right.
They're off the rails, man. There's on that last Nerd record, there's like it's a fucking song called like Energy or some shit.
Oh.
You got energy,
Yeah.
you don't know how to use it or whatever wherever
Yes,
that.
I know what you're talking about.
Dude, I used to play that in the car so much. My kid was singing along like it was. I just love those. It's nuts. They're just nuts.
Yes.
But it's clearly it was too weird at that time. Right now, it's fine because he won that battle. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, somebody you look at like Swizz Beatz has always tried to become his own MC, and it's not a thing. It's not a thing.
Right. I mean, I think Timbaland kind of did too. He had a couple of those shock value. He had 2 shock value projects, but I mean, it's just very difficult for. I mean, probably only Kanye was probably the only one who was incredibly successful at doing that.
I mean, there are definitely other producers who have like become their own MCs or whatever. And honestly, most of the mixtape guys are this way just because nobody cared about them. But like, I mean, or even like look at somebody like Rock Marciano. How did he become such a good producer? Well, it's the easy answer. Nobody cared about it.
Right.
So he had to do it himself. Same with Ka, same with Big Crit, same with Koreatown on. Same with all these.
But they weren't known for being producers before they became rappers.
Right. So yeah, I mean it's so for that stuff you're looking at people like I don't know DJ Quick, Alchemist is still in there because he's quite a good rapper.
Out for sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of people that tried. Yeah, I mean, but it's a conundrum for a producer, right? The math is a number. You can't replace the MC.
Right.
And honestly, 25% of Playboi Carti is a little bit of a joke, right? Because if you let's say you are the Minnesota Timberwolves, you have Kevin Garnett, right?
Right.
I am the Celtics. Don't worry, I'm going to trade you 75% of the value of Kevin Garnett. And it's all these guys. They all add up to that, right? Don't worry.
Right.
But that's not how it works. When the game drops and Minnesota puts out its small change team with a bunch of plucky role players, they don't have a threat for the defense to worry about. It's unlikely that any of those guys will get hot.
Right.
I was watching an NBA TV interview, and Sam Mitchell said they're all going over their favorite basketball moments of all time. And Doc Rivers was like, I saw Larry Bird shred my Hawks teams and all this, and then, they're going into it. Sam Mitchell goes, it was the first practice when Kevin Garnett showed up. Because from the minute he started playing, we said to each other, this is what it's like playing with a Hall of Famer. It's someone you can't stop.
Right.
So you can't give me 75% of an unstoppable force.
Right.
It's not an unstoppable force at that point.
Right.
So Playboi Carti is a unique voice in music, right?
Right.
If you take 25% away, he's just one of the guys.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work out. He understands the mechanics of what Carti does, and he can bounce on these melodies and make fun sounds. But he's not Carti, dude.
Yeah.
And what's ever be,
And as a producer, sometimes it can be a relatively thankless job. I mean, you have to be like, I look at like one of my favorite producers of the last 10 years. I look at a guy like 40, Drake's producer.
Yeah.
He's content on being in the background most of the time and just producing for Drake, and just focus on the craft, focus on making excellent work. I'm sure he's getting paid, he's getting taken care of.
Sure.
And that's the avenue that he chose. And I think, if you're a guy like Pi'Erre Borne, and I listened to his album, let me be real, I could only get through maybe like a quarter of it, and I was like, okay, this is good enough for me.
It's fun stuff to throw on. It's just a good time, right?
Yeah.
So you should listen to like 5 Pi'Erre Borne songs at any given time. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. Get back into your step, move along with your day.
Yep.
Now,
and
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, and I just think you just if you don't have the talent and vision to be a rapper, there's nothing wrong with staying in your lane and focusing on your craft.
Yeah, I mean, it's important, but and I want to. When I put this up online, I don't want Khruangbin supporters to come after me and say, "Look, the Mordecai sessions were done back in the year of 1977. They're just now being released." I have no idea when this was recorded, if it was recorded before Texas Sun or not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it listens to me, right? They're not known for putting vocals on these songs. After Texas Sun, there's vocals on these songs. It feels like you're trying to keep that momentum going.
Right.
But the song structures aren't breathing enough. The other disclaimer is that underground heads might be listening to this discussion and going, God, why are these guys talking about Pi'Erre Borne and Playboi Carti when we should talk about Fat Tony or Shea Noir? I want to talk about it all, but I believe in hip hop as food groups.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want just underground all the time. That's not how I want to eat. Too much fiber. Uh, I want to change it up. So, some organic sugar in there. And, that's what this is. So, um, but yeah, that's that discussion. And I think one person want to bring into this, because we talked about Pharrell, when people talk about the year Alchemist is having,
Mm-hmm.
between the Boldy James album uh, and Lulu and
He's had featured on a lot of
Alfredo.
Alfredo, yeah.
And by the way, he's had such a good year. People are already calling him overrated. That's awesome. They never call you overrated until you're killing it.
Right.
They're just sick of seeing you on their timeline. But that's why people aren't wearing masks, right? They're just tired of seeing it on their timeline. But the thing about Alchemist is he's worked for years and years at individuating his sound.
Mm-hmm.
Individuating his sound and growing his sound.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to do that because you have to have a sound that the audience knows is yours, but doesn't bother you, doesn't bore you.
Right.
That's why RZA doesn't make RZA beats anymore. They started to bore him.
Right.
Some critics love 8 Diagrams, the Wu-Tang album. Have you heard of this album?
I've heard of it, but I haven't heard it. No.
So the story is that he wanted to go in a whole new sonic direction and incorporate kind of prog rock guitars into these beats. All of the Wu-Tang members hated it. But he was like, dude, just do it. Just trust me. Just do it. And I hated the album at the time. And critics kind of have started to like it and be like, this was way out of its time. I still can't enjoy it because I can hear how much they hate it. As they're spitting their verses, I can hear them being like, oh, right? And RZA didn't want to keep pumping out that old shit, man.
Right.
That stuff was raw. It was weird. It was out of syncopation. He had gotten so much more polished over the years. He wanted to do that.
Right. You want to show your growth. I mean, particularly like if you're a producer, like the sound that you start with cannot be the sound that you end with. And I'm thinking about through your career. You know what I mean? That you have to constantly be innovating, because once you have a successful sound, people are going to emulate that sound.
100%.
So a lot, and that's the danger with, particularly like if you're a producer, like I like Pi'Erre Borne. Like, here's what I'll say: I don't think he knows how to play music, per se, like play an instrument. So if you're a producer who does not know how to play music, as in like an instrument, understand music theory, your sound is really all, you just really have an ear for sequencing and making patterns.
Right.
That anyone can do that. Once they figure out the pattern that you like to make, that can be copied by anyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said that I think Pi'Erre Borne is 15 degrees off of what the normal beat is.
Mm-hmm.
that he's a little more. He has a little bit of a different tempo, which is cool. Um, but you know, the trap guys that have stayed in this have had to do a lot of work to stay in it, right?
Yep.
Zaytoven,
Yep.
Metro Boomin. Look at the growth of Mike Will made it.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
holy smokes. Those guys have to individuate the sound and grow, figure out
Yep.
how to grow because people will get tired of it. You'll get tired of it. The audience will get tired of it if it's sequenced loops of the same kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Unless it's at a super high level. I think Timbaland and Pharrell, like the comparison I would make is so in junior high, this is autobiographical now. In junior high, I was the most unpopular kid in my school.
Oh wow.
I was disliked. I liked to fuck with people, and I was nerdy. So imagine the kid getting bullied, trying to mess with the person bullying him, but not being able to defend himself. What wasn't a good combination. So, but what the way I became popular in high school, reasonably popular, was utilizing how weird I was.
Mm-hmm.
The shit that was in my head that wasn't in other people's heads. That they could be like, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd be like, that's Dan, he's weird.
Right.
All I had to do was keep being weird to fulfill that.
Right, and own it.
And
As in, I
yeah.
think it more like you. I mean, I'm sure you were just as weird in junior high, but now you started to own it in a comfortable way.
And show it to the people who hadn't seen it before, right?
Right.
So, and really being weird is such a general thing that you can be weird by not being weird once, right? If you're usually weird. So you can throw people off, you know?
Right.
And that's what Timbaland was able to do, right? I'm going to keep being weird, making weird music. And you're always going to watch it. You're always going to tune in because you can only get this from me.
Right.
You can get, there'll be imitators, but they're not me.
Yeah.
My stuff is on a different level.
And I mean, guys like that, I think guys like Timbaland, Pharrell, those guys are encyclopedias for music. And
100%.
you know what I mean? So they can pull, it's in a way, they can pull references and they can pull things that are like normal producers just can't pull from their, you know what I mean? And that's what makes them so special.
So that's why that's why I consider Alchemist on that top tier, not because of sales, but because he's gotten to a place where not only do you know an Alchemist beat, but you're super excited that it's an Alchemist beat.
Yeah.
When it first starts, you're like, holy shit, this is Alchemist. And you check the credits and you're like, fucking Alchemist, this is awesome.
Right. Yeah.
He's gotten to that point where you know who he is. He knows what he's doing, but you don't know what's next.
Right.
So maybe I want to call that like the Seinfeld destination. Love terminology. So what I mean by that is Seinfeld was the same kind of thing every week.
Right.
But Larry David, he was giving an interview, he said, I took a lot of pride that no one was ahead of our plots. No one was watching the first 10 minutes going, oh, that's going to happen in that later on. Storyboarded it out to make sure you didn't know what was coming, even though you knew the basics of what you were getting. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's Alchemist.
I mean, and that takes a level of craft.
And that's
You know what I mean?
Timbaland, and that's like all the top guys
Yes.
are able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, because that takes more, it takes a level of craft, it takes more attention to detail, and it takes kind of, one, you're perverting the expectation, like, you know what people expect from you, and you know it very well what people expect you to do.
Right.
So to be able to do the opposite, you have to like know what people expect it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those guys are there. And that's what, I mean, the great music is all, I think, and my theory about music is like, I've thought about this, like, people go to music as an escape from our daily lives. You know what I mean? Most of our lives are pretty boring and routine in a lot of ways.
Totally.
And so anytime you can, during a day, where you can have something that surprises you or something that's unexpected, it's like a treat for us. And if you're a producer that can constantly deliver on music that surprises the audience, you're gonna have a following for as long as you choose to create.
Right. It's and I was realizing that the other day because I was like, man, I always thought like in the Wu-Tang Clan, like RZA was the one who had it locked in, but really because they all individuated themselves, they've all had these 40-year careers or whatever they've had,
Mm-hmm.
25, 30, I don't know, like because there is no Ghostface but Ghostface.
Right.
There is no Method Man but Method Man. There, on and on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, Raekwon, those guys individuate themselves with what they do.
Right.
And that's really the mission, is to be able to say, if you want this, come to me.
Yep. Yeah.
And to me, the other 2020 producer that's done that is called Knxwledge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
His songs are often a mixture of various genres, such as jazz, soul, old school hip hop, and modern rap. In 2015, he released his debut, HUD Dreams, and produced the track Mama on Kendrick Lamar's junior release, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Mm.
He went on to win Best Rap Album at the Grammys in 2016. His recent work alongside Anderson .Paak as NX Worries has received critical acclaim. In 2017 alone, he produced for Rock Marciano, Action Bronson, Prodigy, West Side Gun, Mac Homie.
Yeah.
So that's pretty intense.
You know what I mean? Like, I was reading an article of DJ Premier. It was like an old production magazine. I forgot the name of it. But basically there were 10 rules that DJ Premier lived by. And one of the rules was never give beats to whack MCs.
100%.
And that it sounds like knowledge when you get to a certain, not even when you get to a certain level, if you want to or you aspire to get to a certain level, you have to make sure that your product only gets in the hands of the best of the best.
And Knxwledge has a unique sound and an adventurousness to it. I think he has over 100 projects that he's released. I think 4 this year.
Wow.
3 of which, 1988, which was high on my list mid-year.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful album. He also put out like an EP-ish kind of size thing that was just video game sounds. It's awesome. It has an amazing cover, VGM's Part 1. He also took a bunch of like Music Soul Child covers and reproduced those.
You see, I mean, this is a guy that's constantly creating, constantly working on his craft every day.
Experimenting and
Yeah.
growing, and like his mind is moving kind of like that jazz band conversation is moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in 1988 you'll hear voices, and sometimes they're interviews with people arguing. Sometimes they're people freestyling for 20, 30 seconds, right? But these are sounds of real life.
Right.
He doesn't want to throw you a beat tape that you just kind of nod to.
Right.
He wants to keep you up and into it, and make sure you realize that this is real.
Mm-hmm.
This lives as a part of hip hop and everything else. So, did you have any standout favorites on 1988?
I mean, my favorite song on it is the last song, minding my business.
Ooh.
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite top 3 favorite songs of the entire year.
I'm gonna go from 17 all the way to 20. 17 is the one with NX Worries.
Okay.
And man, make use of the time, make it live forever.
Mm-hmm.
A woman's life is love. A man's love is life. The whole back half of it is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I
agree with that.
A strong close for an instrumental project. It was just, it was one of those things. I was like, I need to buy this. It's almost like I want him to know this is great, right?
Yeah.
He makes 100 of these fucking things. I'm buying this one. I'm paying you the full price, and I'm saying, this is good stuff. Keep this up.
I mean, for me, no, like when I listened to it, and this is gonna be controversial, I feel like 1988 was. I'm not gonna say the best. That is my favorite hip hop instrumental album that I've ever heard.
I mean, that's understandable. I mean, I don't love beat tapes a lot.
Right.
I love them a lot more than my wife does. But because she's like, why are we just listening to this fucking loop over and over? But I love 1988 is special, and I guess the best way I would say it is that knowledge beats have a ton of kinetic energy.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean,
there's no latent passive energy waiting to be unlocked, right?
No.
This isn't sound wave. Knowledge, it's immediate. It's immediate, it's happening, you're feeling it. And that's why, I mean, whenever I listen to 1988, I start thinking and plotting in my head who he should work with.
Okay.
Because I'm like, this guy would make so many people so much better.
Yeah.
And I was like, he should work with Anderson .Paak. And then he came on, and then I was like, oh shit, that's right. He gave Anderson .Paak his best album. I forgot. Done so much. But yeah, that's probably Anderson .Paak's best album.
Yeah, there could be a case made for that. Absolutely. I mean, I think the thing about No Worries is, one, you can hear that he really loves music. I think that's the first part. And then two, I think, like with any chef, like if you're going to cook, you're going to want to cook with the best ingredients that you have. And he's great at picking the best ingredients to cook with.
Yeah, man.
And so for me, what made the beat tape my favorite is, one, I thought the sequencing was excellent. You can just put it on from the start and you just ride with it. You know what I mean? Like you could do your Sunday afternoon cleaning. You put that on and you can ride with it. And
Yeah.
And I just think the sequencing is excellent. I think the source material that he uses to make the beats is excellent. And it's
Arguing,
just
freestyling,
yeah,
the,
yep,
the decisions of what to include in terms of audio clips.
yep,
The length of the songs is perfect.
absolutely, yes, yes. I mean, it's just enough to leave you wanting more. You never want to give them. You never want to. If I'm listening, you never want to satisfy me. You want to leave enough. You want to give me enough to make me hungry, or you want to leave enough. You want to leave me enough to be satisfied, but not enough to be full.
So to throw some conversation out here, I tried to come up with a top 5 list of who I want Knxwledge to produce for. I couldn't even do 5.
Hmm.
I had to go 6, and then I thought of like 2 more this afternoon.
Okay.
Let me tell you
And
the
so,
originals.
before you start, tell me, what do you think that Knxwledge? What do you think he bring? What do you think that he could bring to these artists that you're going to mention?
So I want you to think about when I give you this collection of artists,
Okay.
this first collection, and then I'll give you my augmentations. When I give you the first collection, you try and think about what that would sound like, what would be different. So number 6, Daniel Caesar. Number 5, Sid. Number 4, Saba.
Oh, so phenomenal. Yeah.
Number 3, Open Mike Eagle. Number 2, MF Doom. Number 1, Megan Thee Stallion.
Wow.
That was my original list.
Ooh, that's a couple surprises there. Okay. Wow. Oh, okay. No. Okay. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, no. Meg Thee Stallion isn't a surprise. Like, if I listen to Suede, I mean, you know Suede off of No
Yeah.
Worries.
Yep.
With the song he did with Anderson .Paak. Meg would fit right in on that.
And the thing about Megan is she's so kind of, she's such a Southern, bred through and through artist
Right.
we're already starting to see why does she rap the same stuff? Why doesn't she do this, that, and the third? The kind of stuff Wayne had to sift through when he was coming up. Right? This is that Southern. When he did Carter 2 and he started rapping on these different kinds of beats,
Right.
that's when people were like, holy shit. So I think you give her Knxwledge beats, she shreds them, and people are looking at her different.
I agree. I don't know if she's in that point of her career yet where she's going to make that decision to do that, but
right.
I mean, she is definitely a lane for her. I mean, and we really haven't had. I'm trying to think of a female rapper that's gone that lane. You know what I mean?
And some of the people that are on this list fit into the category of not kinetic, but like passive recessive artists like Sid, Saba.
Right.
These are kind of ambiance driven.
Go at their own tempo.
They're not big outlandish performers. They're, they're introspective kind of feeling. I kind of wanted someone to give those guys a kick. But I got 2 new people to fit on this list. Honestly, I might bump Megan out at number 1.
Okay.
Because I might put Billy Woods at number 1.
Oh wow.
I really
See,
want Billy Woods over a different kind of production because he knows the difference.
right. And you know what I'll say about Knxwledge's beats, like there's energy in them, but they're also very grounded in soul. So
Yep.
I I think that would be a good, and I think I mean for a guy like Billy Woods who needs, I think it would be interesting to see him over or listen to him over beats that were a little bit more grounded.
And I would love to, the other person I was going to make as an additive here is I would love to hear what it would sound like if we had Knxwledge and Benny the Butcher full length project.
Oh man, that'd be phenomenal.
Sometimes Griselda is too comfortable in their flows.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
Too comfortable in those beats, too comfortable in how sparse they are.
Right. They're insulated. I mean, my concern about Griselda is how insulated they are. Now, it's made for great music, but if they're going to get bigger, like we look at Pray for Paris, West Side Gun.
Right.
He went out and he talked with Tyler, and he talked with Tyler the Creator, and had some like they're so used to working with the same bubble that if they don't try other sounds, they may kind of hurt their cause.
Yep. So who would you want Knxwledge to do a full length project with?
I mean, I think you kind of nailed it. I think Saba was great.
Mm-hmm.
I could see even Pusha T. I know this is gonna sound very weird, but I do think Drake. Because my favorite Drake is when I think about him on the Fear beat, from DJ Khalil, which came out, like, when did that come out? 2010, 2011, or 2009 maybe. I'd like Drake to go back to that, at least go back to exploring that type of sound.
Well, can we do like a pimpish NX Worries Drake song? That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, is there something, I mean,
bring Pac and Drake together on that, let them flex and produce it, and I think that would sound super fun.
Yeah, I think Drake would be, I mean, I kind of get on him a lot. Not that he cares, but
he does.
I kind of get on him, but it's because he chooses to, his sound hasn't really expanded over the past couple of years. And I think if he were to do something so out of left field, like he did when he was coming up, I think that would go a long way for his category. I'm sorry, his looking at his catalog at the end of the day.
And so, like, dreaming up a weird fictional situation.
Okay.
Smino's looking for direction on his next album, right?
Right.
And he starts looking at all the hip hop blogs and emailing people up. And he finds my contact information, emails me, and says, "Hey, I'm asking all the cool hip hop bloggers who don't make any money who they think is the biggest secret weapon production wise in hip hop right now. Like, what do you think?" And I would say, Knxwledge, and you should do a full project.
Yeah.
Like, that, to me, he's the big secret weapon that if you're a big time rapper, but you're looking for a new direction, A$AP Rocky, whatever,
Yeah.
That's a good call to make.
Yeah. Agreed 100%. I mean, the guy loves, you can just tell the guy loves music, you know what I mean? And he'll be able to give you different looks. I mean, even if you listen to all of his No Worries stuff, like all of the songs on that sound different, are unique in their own way. I mean, the album, I'm talking about the album.
Totally.
All the songs sound unique in their own way. Like we mentioned Suede. Suede sounds nothing like any of the other songs on the album. And it's a pretty good size length album as well.
Right.
So he's got that versatility to give you so many looks and so many different angles to explore.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, and it's incredible how a producer that is that good can change your feelings on stuff. Give me an example. Uh, I wish I wasn't like this, but like the Boldy James Renaissance with Price of Tea in China. People are coming on and they're kind of like, hey, you know, like I've heard the name Boldy James, but like, you know, this project really put him in the spotlight for me. And I'm like, man, I wish I could say that, but I've heard a lot of Boldy James going all the way back to the mixtapes, and I didn't like the guy. Like, I wouldn't hate the guy. I wasn't like, but I was like, he sounds bored. He sounds like he doesn't like to do this, but he's really good at it.
Right.
And Alchemist taught me how to love Boldy James. Alchemist made these beats is so interesting that I heard the jokes, that I heard the personality and the pain like I hadn't before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like a different director who can make the shot different, so the actors are giving better performances.
Absolutely.
That's the power that these guys have. And I think Knxwledge is the guy to look up if you haven't heard. Knxwledge. Transitioning into recommendation corner. Of course, anyone who I have in my phone knows I'm repping Blimes and Gab. Talk about it. Honestly, it's kind of replaced Run the Jewels for me.
Wow.
It is a like, and I don't mean I love Run the Jewels, but it's this same kind of like incredible friendship.
Oh, okay.
Album with big hooks, and just camaraderie. It's the same way Run the Jewels is a buddy movie. This is a buddy movie, and it's so fun. And the verses are great. It really is one of the best albums to come out this year. Those are the two, like Little Dominique's Nosebleed by the Koreatown Oddity and Talk About It by Blimes and Gab are two come out recently and like best album of the year candidates. I went on a nerdy thing recently. I was listening to Fat Tony and Tay Dex's album Wake Up. Fat Tony is the Houston rapper who's very funny and very strange. I put one of his videos about fast food in my playlist that I posted. His album, and there was a song called Omaha, and it's killer dude on the hook, Clarence James. I was like, who is this? So I looked up Clarence James. He's got an album called, what's it called? Fucked Me Up is what it's called. He's from Austin, Texas, I think, and he's really interesting. He's like, it's interestingly between R&B and alternative music.
Okay.
Find Clarence James on Bandcamp. listen to some of those songs. I am fascinated by it. It has become like a thing for me. Like just like listening to this, like how do I even feel about this? This is interesting. One of those Bandcamp Gold digs that I did. So do that. Yeah, be good, man. Be safe.
Yeah.
And I guess my tip to people would be listen to people. Listen to
Yeah.
people. I am lucky to have great friends, dude. Um, there's political stuff that I don't agree with that I have questions about, and I have friends that think that way. I can call them and argue with them for an hour, and there's no yelling, there's no hard feelings, but I can get the perspective of the other side of like,
Right.
oh, okay, that's interesting, and it
Right.
helps me. If you don't
Absolutely.
have a window in to the other perspective, you're just sitting there frustrated. Like, why are people so dumb?
Fair.
Uh, so listen and gather information and try and help people from there.
Yeah.
So very cool. And yeah, just stay safe, everybody. Peace.